Hello and welcome back. Today's video is going to be a quick introduction into one of my favourite topics at the moment, and that is the General Data Protection Regulations, which is also known as the GDPR, which will be coming into effect on the 25th of May 2018. Because the GDPR is a regulation and not a directive, this means that it will be applicable automatically from the 25th of May. The GDPR applies to everybody trading in goods and services to residents in the EU. That means if you are involved in handling the personal data of any EU resident, regardless of where you are in the world, then these regulations will be applicable. Now, the GDPR refers to the data subjects, the data controllers and the data processors. Data subjects are the individuals who will be handing over their personal data, so like you and I. Data controllers obtain that data from the individuals. Data processor stores that information from the data controller. But the data controller and the data processor may or may not be the same organisation. So let's talk about some of the key changes that these regulations will be bringing in. The first is all around clear consent. In obtaining consent, the organisations must be clear and unambiguous about the personal data that they are looking to obtain. The second key change is to do with data breaches. Now, if unluckily there has been a data breach in an organisation, then these organisations have a duty to report to whoever the supervising authority is. They must inform them of this data breach within 72 hours. If this is a really serious data breach as well, then that organisation needs to inform the individuals involved too. The third change is to do with the right to be forgotten, and this is applicable where the information that the data subject has handed over is no longer relevant to the data controller. This means if you've handed over information and it's no longer necessary for the organisation to hold it, you can then ask that organisation to remove this data from their systems. The next is surrounding data portability, and this is where the data subject can request access to their personal data from the organisation and have that transferred between IT systems. The fifth key change is to do with privacy by design, and this is where from the very outset there is a legal obligation for there to be protection around the handling of personal data, and this is to do with the technical mechanisms that are in place from the beginning. There's a new requirement for organisations with over 250 employees to have a data protection officer, and this has to be somebody who is qualified, and they basically make sure that the company is being compliant with the regulations. If not, they have a duty to report this company. The final change that I want to talk about is the right to access. This is where the data subject can ask the organisation to see their personal data. Any organisation that's found to be non-compliant with the regulations can be fined 4% of their annual global turnover, or 20 million euros. That is my brief overview of the regulations, and I'll speak to you in my next video. Bye!